This episode of Now This Is Lit is brought to you by Audible. Check the link in the description to get your first Star Wars audiobook free. Everyone loves free things. Click that link. Do it. This show is also brought to you by our patrons. If you want to support the show in a different way, with just $1 a month, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. You can get a sticker. You can get access to an exclusive show that we do every month that's wild and chaotic and fun and something you can only get by becoming a member of the Patreon. There'll be so many more perks very, very soon. But for now, do you want a sticker? Do you want a sticker that has a Now This Is Lit logo? Because it's fantastic and I love them. But I also want to give them away because there's just a stack of stickers on my desk. So if you want one, $1 a month. Patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You're listening to Now This Is Lit, a podcast about Star Wars books, the people who make them, and the readers who just can't get enough of them. I'm your host, Meg Dowell. I use she, her pronouns. It is the first episode of 2026, which means it's time to talk about Star Wars books and comics and other published media that we know of that is coming out in the coming calendar year. I have been very interested ever since the High Republic ended in what the 2026 publishing slate for Star Wars is going to look like. Because if you think about, like, specifically the first half of 2025, it was mostly High Republic books. It was the last middle grade and young adult and adult novels that all came out. And we were lucky in the back half of this year, 2025, to still have a lot of novels coming out and other audio and other projects, comics, Audible originals, things like that. But so far in the upcoming year, we only know of about half of it. And that's about normal. That's to be expected. They don't announce books typically like years in advance. Usually it's like 9 months out is like the most that you're going to get. So for the most part, we know for sure what's coming out through July. But if you look at novels specifically, and I'm going to go through, I have a list here, and I'm going to go through kind of as quickly as I can, generally all of the things that are coming out. I won't name specific dates for everything or every category. There is a newsletter post that is a companion to this episode that does have all of the dates for everything. If you want to know exactly what's coming out on what exact date, you can go there. It will be linked in this episode, and I will remember to put it there. This is me reminding myself in the edit to put it there. It is just me for this episode, by the way. It's been a while since we did one of these solo episodes that's just me talking about books. I would love to have Devore on these kinds of episodes because he has a lot of interesting things to say about future books in Star Wars. But for now, it's just me, and that's okay. So we're going to go through different categories of Star Wars books that are coming out this year. I have novels, and because there's not a lot, I think last year when I did this episode, I was able to focus mostly on just the novels because there were a lot of them. There were, I think, 9 in total that came out this past year. So far, there are not quite that many, and that's okay. So we have novels, and there are some of those. We have reference books. There are a lot of those. We may have to talk about more of them this year to kind of fill in some more space and, highlight some other writers and other types of Star Wars publishing. We have comics and we have manga. Lots happening here. Comics is going to be like, the comics are the constant. Usually there's always a comic coming out almost every single week. And we don't know for sure if that's going to be the case all year, but at least for the first few months, that's just what we know of so far, and we'll talk more about that. We know what's going to happen. Some of it's really, really exciting. There are some books for young readers that I'm going to touch on quickly, but probably won't go into too much detail on. We will probably end up talking about those later on in the show. Again, because I think they should be highlighted more. And I also do have a Star Wars adjacent book category, which has one book in it that's not technically Star Wars, but is very important to Star Wars. I will talk about that briefly because I couldn't not include it. So you'll notice that there are some things that I've specifically not included in these categories, and I will not be talking about in this episode. I'm not going to be talking about reprints because there are a lot of those, both in comics and in books. We don't need to talk about those. Like they are coming out, and I am going to try my best to acknowledge them when it's appropriate, when they do come out throughout the year. But if it's already out, I'm not going to mention it. Also, not going to talk about the Essential Legends collection in this particular episode that I'm recording right now, because officially, in terms of like what has actually been announced and you can pre-order, we don't know that for sure. There are, I'll say, like rumors of the next wave that's coming out. We're not going to talk about that until we know that for sure. Love the Essential Legends collection. We just don't know what that's going to look like for 2026 yet. And that is fine. This list that I'm going off of, I won't be going back and updating this audio episode with new releases, but I will do my best to remember actually this time, this year, to update this printed, published list so that it is a living list of more of the things that are coming out. Because that's important to me, and I like highlighting not just new releases, but newly announced books, because it's very exciting when a new book is announced. I'm going to stop rambling. This is what happens when I go off notes and I'm not just reading a script. That's okay. If you've been around here long enough, you know that this is just how it goes sometimes. If you've been around even longer than that before this show started, and you may have listened to another show that I did, they were all like this. Okay, maybe not all of them, but okay. So we're gonna start with novels before I'm sitting here talking about nothing for 20 minutes. So February is when we get our first official novel, and that's going to be Low Red Moon, the Outlaws book by Mike Chen. I have an advanced copy of that. I have not started reading it yet. That is what I plan on reading over my holiday break that's coming up. And I'm very excited, but I know nothing about it other than like what all of you know about it in terms of like the premise. But, you know, we'll see. It's going to be great, I'm sure. It's Mike Chen. It always is. So I don't know if you have read any of these. I have some. I have not read them yet. But the Shakespeare adaptions of Star Wars novelizations. There is one coming out in April for The Mandalorian. It's Mandalorian the first, so I'm assuming that's like the first volume or the first season. Because I know there are I think junior novelizations of each season of The Mandalorian, if I'm remembering that correctly. I should really read those. Anyway, so that's coming out. I have heard great things about these. I actually have a friend who's not like, she's into Star Wars, but not the books as much as I am, but she's very into Shakespeare, and she has read some of these, and she told me a long time ago that I should read them because they're delightful, and maybe I'll do that this year. So we've gone from, this is what I mean by not as much coming out as far as we know in terms of novels. We've gone from February to April, and now we are jumping to July, and there are 2 books coming out in July, 1 week apart from each other. It's a choice, but we're gonna go with it. You have Eyes Like Stars, which is the first book in kind of a new like genre fiction series initiative that they are trying, and this is one of the romance ones. So this is new characters. It's a romance. I think it's going to be really fun. I cannot wait. A week after that, on July 28th, is the book that I know we're all very, very very excited for, and it's Star Wars Legacy, which is the book about Leia and Rey before Tross. Their training and doing all of the other things. That's a book that I've been waiting for a long time, and it's going to be great. And then we already knew about this book because it's the second book in the Reign of the Empire trilogy. We got Mask of Fear last year, which was my book of the year, personally. And this one is Edge of the Abyss, and that is coming out in September. I just had to pause and get some water because water is very good for you. It is also very good for your voice. And when you're talking as much as I am with doing these recordings, water is important. I'm going to cut this out of the episode. I'm going to forget to cut it out of the episode, aren't I? We are moving on to reference books. I do not highlight reference books nearly enough on the show. I love talking to writers of a lot of these reference books, and I am trying to make an effort to do more of that. A lot of this is a matter of making sure that a lot of this, like behind the scenes wise, is a matter of connecting with the right publishers and getting a hold of the right people. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. And it can be a lot of extra work to coordinate all of that. And the show is run by two people, and honestly, mostly me, because I have a hard time of letting go of things that I don't want to delegate. But anyway, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening in the world of reference books. We have The Art of the Acolyte. There's a Phantom Menace visual archive coming out in February, which I think I knew about, but I'd kind of forgotten about. So that's very exciting. There's a new cookbook, a drinks cookbook coming out. I love the Star Wars cookbooks. I think I've gotten my mom all of the ones that exist so far. And I think I actually only own one of them. So this will be a good opportunity to get another one for me anyway. The Art of Star Wars Andor is also coming out in June. And yes, it took a while after the series ended to kind of get this piece of, behind the scenes reference material, but it's one of those things, as I've found with a lot of other reference books like this, it's going to be worth the wait. I'm really looking forward to that one. I didn't touch on every single reference book that's coming out this year, but again, you can reference that list linked in the description if you want to know every single thing. There's a lot of really fun stuff. There's some Mandalorian stuff. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great year for the Mandalorian stories in general, because allegedly there's a Star Wars movie coming out about the Mandalorian, featuring the Mandalorian. Do I believe that that's actually happening and it exists? Not yet, but when my butt is in that seat on opening night, I'm sure I'm going to have a great time. We have reached comics and manga, and because I just talked about the Mandalorian, I will jump right into the fact that there are two more volumes of the Mandalorian manga that are coming out. I have not read the first two. The third and the fourth are coming out in the first half of this year, probably to align with the movie Mandalorian and Grogu. I think that's what it's called. Am I a Star Wars fan? Sometimes I don't feel like a very good one. It's fine. But there are a lot of comics coming out. Actually, it's very interesting. I'm not going to, again, go through every single one. But what I've noticed about in preparing this episode and doing the research for it, that there are a lot of Marvel comic series in particular that are ending fairly soon, and it doesn't look like there are a lot more that are coming or that have been announced, and I don't know if there is more information. Diving deeper into that, I'm sure there are comics fans of the Star Wars variety that are much more well-versed in the future of all of this than me. But I did notice that the Legacy of Vader is ending, which is heartbreaking because it's a great Really, really, really great series. The current Star Wars mainline run is ending after issue 10. The Hunt for the Falcon miniseries, the 5th issue, is coming out in January, so that will be done. But you know what? That is, that's okay. I don't know. There are some new things coming out, some one-shots and other things. We do have the Hyperspace Stories, the Bad Batch Ghost Agents, which is the next little, like, mini-series within the larger Hyperspace Stories ongoing run from Dark Horse. That's starting, that started at the end of December, so that will continue. That miniseries will do its run this year. There's also another Hyperspace Stories graphic novel coming out in March. This one is Grievous. I may know a person or two who are particularly excited about that one. Actually, I am too, because we don't have a lot of Grievous content in canon, and there was more in Legends, and I think it'll be interesting to see what they pull from Legends to kind of give more of his backstory and things like that. Like I said, we do have some one-shots. We have the High Republic Adventures Pathfinder. That's starting in February. We have the Jar Jar one-shot, which is the comic that Ahmed Best is working on or co-writing. That is going to be amazing. I really can't wait for that. There's also the Shadow of Maul comic, or is this a one-shot? There's only one listed here. That's coming out in March. I believe that is supposed to be connected to the animated series that is currently in the works. Love me some Maul in comics, so that'll be fun. And we're also returning to Star Wars Visions in July. And we've known about this for a while, but it finally has a release date that I'm also looking forward to. So there's a lot happening in comics, but also probably a lot that we don't know about yet, or hasn't been announced or something. I'm doing my best here. There was a lot of comics related things to put together. There's a lot happening because, again, almost every week there's something. And there's been a pretty good run of comics overall lately. So we will see what's in store for all of that. Really trying to make an effort to talk more about comics this year on the show. Don't know what that's going to look like yet, but stay tuned. As I did mention at the top, there's some books for young readers that are coming out in 2026. Many of them actually are Mandalorian themed because, again, it is the year of the Mandalorian, and like probably not going to get a lot of Bo-Katan in all of this Mandalorian madness, if you will, which is unfortunate, but sometimes character stories end on a really good note, and they're still alive, and you just probably should keep it that way. That was for a very specific person who's not listening to this, but I guess you never know who might be listening. This brings us finally to the not technically Star Wars book, but Star Wars sort of adjacent book that's coming out in a few weeks, actually, that I wanted to highlight because it's my show and I make the rules. So this is the Industrial Light and Magic 50 Years of Innovation book that they announced at one of the Comic-Cons this past year. This is a book that will go through, as the title suggests, the last 50 years of ILM and its history and all that they have made and all of that they have done and how they have shaped the industry. And I think this is my most anticipated book, not just in, like Star Wars adjacent world, but just overall of the year so far. I cannot wait Did I reach out to someone to try to get an early copy so that I could tell you how good it is from actually having read it? Yes. Did they respond? No. That's fine. I'm not mad about it, but I still am going to get a copy, even if I have to buy it from Amazon, which I don't want to do. But sometimes in life you have to make sacrifices. Again, not Star Wars specific, but because Star Wars is so foundational to what ILM has become and some of the things that it has been able to do and accomplish, I'm counting it. Because you can't have ILM if you don't have all of the foundational franchises and films and things that it's associated with. If you haven't seen the documentary on Disney Plus, it's 2 seasons. I highly, highly recommend it. I am very into behind the scenes when it comes to movies and TV and productions and things like that. And this is like, if you've ever seen like a Star Wars documentary where they kind of show you like how certain things are brought together, like it's not all about Star Wars, obviously, because ILM has done things for a lot of different productions that are not just Star Wars, but they do talk a lot about Star Wars. And again, it's very foundational to what not just ILM, but the whole industry has become. So judging by how much I've talked about this already, not even having read it, I don't have to tell you that this is probably going to be my favorite book of the year. That's a lot. And again, I sometimes hesitate to, and this is why I put so far in parentheses in the title. I hesitate to do this so early in the year because there's so much that hasn't been announced yet. Like, we could get a new book announcement this month, potentially, or next month. But we're just going to have to add to this list as we learn more. I'm really, really looking forward to everything that we're going to get in Star Wars publishing and Star Wars overall this year. 2026 is going to be a very interesting year for Star Wars publishing, but a very good year. You know, without the High Republic, it's going to feel a little bit different. For some of you, it may feel a little empty, but I think it's going to be actually a really, really good thing for Star Wars fans, readers, reviewers, and everyone who makes the books too, because it just means that there's a lot less happening, which means that we can spend more time highlighting and diving into and really, really appreciating the books that we are getting. It is possible that there will now be room in the show to get back to doing some more book discussions. There was not room in so much of season 4 or so much of 2025 in the show to do discussions because there were so many books coming out so often, and with author interviews and things like that, there wasn't time. But with things being a little more spread out this year, there may be more time for things like that, and maybe we'll go back to some books that we haven't talked about on the show yet that have been out for a while. I don't know. I have not sat down to do my planning session for the first quarter of the year yet. This episode is all I know of for 2026 so far. So it's going to be a journey on all fronts for all of us, and I'm so glad that you're going to be on said journey with me. It's going to be a very exciting year. You might even say it's going to be lit. Now This Is Lit is part of the Faraway Fandom Network. It is produced by Devor Montum and written, hosted, and edited by me. Jose Jimenez designed our podcast art. You can keep up with the show on Substack at Now This Is Lit, and find the show wherever you get your podcasts. There are so many ways you can support the show, and all of those ways are linked in the show description. The newest way is to become a member of our Patreon. For $1 a month, you can get access to an exclusive show and a sticker. And if we get 500 people to support the Patreon per month, I can hire an editor. That would be great for me, and maybe for you too. So if you'd like to support the show with just $1 a month, you can do it that way. Or you can just keep listening and sharing the episodes. That is also helpful, and I appreciate it. For more book reviews and Star Wars Book Celebration, follow Star Wars Book Reviews on Instagram and TikTok.